sure my phone doesn't fall. All right. Welcome back, everybody, to the That's Debatable podcast. Um, we got some stuff to talk about. I'm your host, Josh. Yeah, welcome back. That's all. We got some stuff to talk about. We got some football. We got some basketball to talk about today. But before we get into that, always we gotta do the self promotion. If you haven't subscribed to my YouTube already, to my link in bio for my Instagram, guys, for my Facebook, guys, it's on my feed. If you guys have been watching this week, I haven't been able to speak. Like, I haven't been able to process my words properly this entire week, and I botched my own intro, so kind of embarrassed for that. But yeah, let's get through this day. Today is Fan Friday, so you guys can ask me questions in the chat, and I'll answer them, sports or TV related. If I haven't watched the show, then I can't answer it. However, you guys can ask me some sports questions in the chat, and I will answer them on the live. So let's get straight into it. We got quite a bit of football today, but if you guys don't want to hear too much football, you guys can ask me some basketball questions. So first question we got is Big Ben the worst quarterback in the AFC North? No. That's ridiculous if you think he's the worst QB in the AFC North, because you have guys like you have guys like Joe Burrow, who's a baby in the league. You have other guys, and I'm not by any means gonna say that Baker Mayfield is better than Ben Roethlisberger. He had a good season this year, and that's it. That's all he did. I'm not gonna say Baker Mayfield is better than Ben Roethlisberger, because in my opinion, he's not. So he's not the worst quarterback in the division. He's not, because like I just mentioned, Joe Burrow, Baker Mayfield, he's better than those guys. So no, I don't think that he's the worst quarterback in the NFL. It's as simple, or not in the NFL, but in the division. It's as simple as that. So no, he's not the worst quarterback in the division. It's as simple as that. I don't have any more to say for that topic. Who is mishandling its quarterback situation more, the Cowboys or the Texans? Man, I gotta go with the Texans, because the Texans are, probably the worst franchise in football right now. The way that they're handling Desean Watson is it's unacceptable, and I have the utmost amount of respect for both Dak Prescott and Desean Watson. And don't get me wrong, the Cowboys are handling the Dak Prescott situation very bad, because we all know how Dak Prescott said he wanted to stay there for 4 years, and Jerry Jones offered him 5, and they franchise tagged him and all that stuff. But you look at the Texans situation, it started off really when the GM for the Texans released DeAndre Hopkins. No, not released. Traded DeAndre Hopkins, and not only was that Deshaun Watson's teammate, that was his brother on and off the field, right? So, and he traded him without letting Deshaun Watson know. Deshaun Watson is your star quarterback, and if I'm not mistaken, your star quarterback should be aware of who he's going to be playing with and who he's not going to be playing with anymore. So they handle that really badly. And then you also have the GM hirings. All of these hirings that Deshaun Watson was not aware of. The way that they've been treating him. They have been treating Deshaun Watson as, shut up and play. That's how they've been treating him. And you could say the same for Dak Prescott, but it's even worse in Deshaun Watson's case, because you look at Deshaun Watson right now in Houston, and, even on the basketball side of things, I don't know what's going on in Houston. I've never been there, but based on what I'm seeing in the sports world, it's not a very good place to play sports, basketball or football. But you look at the Houston Texans situation, and you look at, how they're treating Deshaun Watson, and, it's unacceptable, because I've said it on numerous occasions. I'll say it again. I think Deshaun Watson is the best guy to start a franchise with behind Patrick Mahomes right now. So that's how talented Deshaun Watson is. I think he needs to get the hell up out of Houston. And he just doesn't deserve to be treated that way, the way he's being treated on the Houston Texans. So I think the team that's mishandling their quarterback more is the Texans, even though it is messed up what's going on the Dallas Cowboys, because you look at Dak Prescott's situation now, and they're, like I mentioned, Dak Prescott only wanted 4 years. Jerry Jones offered him 5, so obviously there's miscommunication there. We know Jerry Jones to be stubborn, and the amount of time that Jerry Jones wanted Dak Prescott in Dallas, and the guy's 80 plus years old. So that just doesn't make any sense to me. I don't know why he would do that. And I've said this before. I don't think the Cowboys can win as long as Jerry Jones is in charge. I don't think the Cowboys haven't been relevant football-wise in a quarter century. They managed to stay relevant, though, because of their annoying fans and, all of these other things, the money. They're one of the richest, if not the richest, football franchise in the National Football League. So, but they are mishandling that. They are treating Dak Prescott badly, but it's nothing compared to the Houston Texans situation with Desean Watson. So on to some basketball now. Where would you put Josh Allen in the top quarterback rankings? That's a very good question. You have to look at Josh Allen played exceptionally well. He played pretty well in the playoffs. He played well in the regular season as well. I had him as a top 5 MVP candidate last season, towards the end of last season. I think I would put him, as of right now, you have to look at Tom Brady. I would put him in top 5 as of right now. He's playing very well, but it's also the fact that you have Stephon Diggs to throw to, who is an exceptionally well receiver. He can do everything, right? So he's also another guy who I had in my MVP conversation. So I think Josh Allen ranks about top 5 right now. You think of Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, you could throw Russell Wilson in there, and yeah, Josh Allen. Probably that top 5 right there. Not in order, of course, but probably that top 5. So yeah, I would definitely put Josh Allen in top 5 right now. That was a very good question. So obviously this weekend we have the All-Star break. We have the All-Star game, the 3-point contest, all of that good stuff. Who had the most impressive first half of the season in the NBA? I've labeled this down to 2 teams, and now obviously I have to pick one. I'm going with the Utah Jazz. I think the Utah Jazz had the most impressive first half of the season, and it's because I picked the Utah Jazz. Now, if the Utah Jazz were a team that showed up like this every season, then I probably wouldn't have them. But the Utah Jazz have been absolutely going off. Like, they haven't performed like this in a few years. Right, and we heard LeBron James talk about it, right? We heard how he said, growing up playing video games, we didn't pick the Utah Jazz, right? I found that pretty funny, but he mentioned all of that he didn't pick the Utah Jazz, and that probably adds more fuel to the fire for the Utah Jazz. So this is a very motivated team. Obviously, Obviously, we know that the Utah Jazz, I guess you could say choked in the playoffs the past couple of years. Obviously, they blew the 3-1 lead to the Denver Nuggets. But, the Denver Nuggets are a well-coached team, well-young team. But so is the Utah Jazz. Kid Donovan Mitchell, who I've mentioned, I believe D-Wade 2.0, but I believe he's heard those rumors, and I think he said, I'm the first Donovan Mitchell, and I respect that attitude 100%. This is a team that's willing to win, that's willing to give it all. And Donovan Mitchell, this kid has heart, man. So does Rudy Gobert. We see Jordan Clarkson improving. We see Royce O'Neal, decent. Sorry, my dog is making noises. We see Royce O'Neal as a decent, perimeter defender. But yeah, the Utah Jazz to me have been the most impressive team for the first half of the season, and I'm really looking forward to this team in the playoffs. Because as of right now, obviously the Lakers were impressive. The Nets were impressive. That was my other team that I had on the list. But the Utah Jazz don't always come out like this, and the way they came out. Let me bring up a stat line for you guys, because if you guys didn't hear a couple weeks ago when I brought this up, the Utah Jazz over 2 games hit 50 3-pointers. 50. Not even the Splash Brothers did that. Not even the Golden State Warriors did that. The Utah Jazz hit 53 threes in the span of 2 games. I'm sorry if you can hear my dog in the background. But that's how dangerous this team is, especially from the perimeter. As of late, you haven't seen teams get into a shootout with the Utah Jazz, and that's for a reason, because they will outshoot you as of this season, right? So I think for me, the first half of the season had to go to the Utah Jazz. They absolutely performed, and I was kind of shocked how they left Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell hanging in the All-Star picks. So that has to add more fuel to the fire. So yeah, I'm so sorry if you can hear my dog right now. But next question: Should the Heat, not the Heat, should the Seahawks start shopping Russell Wilson? Um, I think so. I think that they should be looking at opportunities to maybe trade Russell Wilson. I'm thinking of letting my dog out. He's making so much noise. Um, I think they should look at opportunities to start trading him because Russell Wilson is another quarterback that's not getting treated right. He's absolutely, being treated terribly the way that he plays. He's being treated. Yeah, like I said, he's being treated. Sorry, I'm so distracted. But he's not playing. He's playing well, and the way that the Seahawks are treating him right now is unacceptable. So yeah, the Seahawks should be looking for options for Russell Wilson. They should be looking to see if they can get anything for him. I don't know if they will because Russell Wilson is a very expensive player, and it'll take a lot for someone to trade for Russell Wilson. So I don't know if it will happen, but I will say that Russell Wilson is probably gonna end up wanting to get out of Seattle because, like I said, the way he's being treated over there is unacceptable. This is a guy that's been to 2 Super Bowls. He's won 1 Super Bowl. This is a guy who's thrown over 6,000 yards on numerous occasions. He's a phenomenal quarterback. I have the utmost amount of respect for Russell Wilson. And, yeah, I love watching the guy play. But, as quarterbacks like this, you heard me mention Dak Prescott, Desean Watson, and now Russell Wilson. You think of all these guys. These are guys that I have the utmost amount of respect for, and to hear their franchise disrespecting them and all that stuff, and it's hurtful because it's hurtful to them and Seahawks fans, Texans fans, all of that stuff, because this is a franchise that Russell Wilson really grew up with. This is a franchise he's really carried for the past 5 years. So the way he's getting treated is terrible. And yeah, I just don't think that he can be a Seattle Seahawk much longer. So yeah, I'm not sure of that. Who has more potential, Jamal Murray or Donovan Mitchell? Oh, that is a very good question. Who has more potential? I'm gonna say Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell is an absolute stud. Like I mentioned, he's a D-Wade 2.0 in my opinion. I think the kid can play, and the kid can flat out ball. When you need a bucket, you go to Donovan Mitchell, right? You need that. When you need a bucket at will, he can get a bucket at will. That's what Donovan Mitchell can do. And when you think of Jamal Murray. The kid played absolutely phenomenal in the bubble. Like we saw it. We've only seen a couple games like that from Jamal Murray in this season. We haven't really seen Bubble Murray, as they call him. We haven't really seen Bubble Murray in this season, but we've seen Donovan Mitchell still come out and play. We've seen him get buckets. We've seen him drop points. We've seen him set up his teammates, right? We've seen all of that stuff. So you look at all of that, and as of right now, my answer could change, but as of right now, I think Donovan Mitchell has more potential. I think this kid could be an MVP. He could be a champion. He has a very, very bright future ahead of him. And I'm not saying this. It's different with Jamal Murray. I think Jamal Murray is a future champion, future MVP as well. But when we're talking about who has more potential, I gotta go with Donovan Mitchell because he's a Dwayne Wade 2.0. The kid can flat out ball. He might need some help on the defensive end, but so does Jamal Murray. But the kid, he still gives effort on the defense and on the defensive end. So you look at all that, you take that all into account, and I think, in my opinion, obviously people have different opinions on this, but I think the way that I've seen, because I've been watching basketball for a very long time, and Donovan Mitchell is a bucket, man. He's a walking bucket, as they'd say. So I think, yeah, in terms of who has more potential, as much respect I have for Jamal Murray, and I love watching this kid play, I love watching Donovan Mitchell play as well, and I think he's the one with the more potential. So next question: how do you view Carson Wentz's leadership after the GM's comments and all of that stuff? Carson Wentz, he was a good leader. He just wasn't the greatest leader, right? Because we think of when Nick Foles was there, and him and Carson Wentz were there. They were kind of getting into it at some times because one wanted to be the starting quarterback, the other one wanted to be the starting quarterback, and it was just a whole thing, right? Um, I have never, especially in the city of Philadelphia, I have never seen a quarterback get as much support and love as Carson Wentz did. Not even Nick Foles, not even him, right? And don't get me started on the quarterbacks from before Nick Foles and all that stuff from back in the day. The Eagles have showed Carson Wentz the utmost amount of love and respect and support, right, through his tough times, right? But he had to get out of Philadelphia because, like I've mentioned countless times, that offensive line is absolutely horrendous. It is terrible to watch. I can't stand it. And when I have to cover an Eagles game, it's just like, oh, well, Carson Wentz might get sacked, I don't know, maybe 15 times. And as much as I hate to say it, right, you don't want to say that, right? As, especially if you're covering sports, you don't want to say stuff like that. But it's true. You're about to watch a terrible offensive line protect a pretty decent quarterback who I still think has a bright future. And I think, he's going to do well on the Colts because he's surrounded by better people, a better offensive line, better coaching staff, better weapons and all of that stuff. And that's no shade at those guys over in Philadelphia. But I think Wentz, his leadership is good. He doesn't have poor leadership, but he does have some leadership problems because it sounds kind of confusing. So I'm not saying he's a tremendous leader, but I'm not saying he's a poor leader also. He's an okay leader, right? At times, we question his decision making, and that's why I think he's an okay leader. He's not a phenomenal leader, but yeah, I think he's all right. I think Carson Wentz is going to have a bright future in Indianapolis. I think he'll stay there for a while, especially because Indianapolis Colts are coming off a playoff appearance and all of that stuff. So I think he'll really enjoy it in Indianapolis. And yeah, I think as Carson Wentz's leadership, I think it'll progress as he gets older because you got to take into account the guy's still 27, 28 years old. He's still about in his prime. So he has a lot more to learn, and I think he will learn, and especially in Indianapolis, from those guys over there. So I think his leadership will progress. Is Ben Roethlisberger a game manager now? Yeah, that is completely disrespectful. It's completely disrespectful to call Ben Roethlisberger a game manager. It's especially as a Steelers fan, I find this question, and obviously I write down the questions, but I saw this question earlier as well, and I'm like, wow, this is disrespectful. That the fact that we even have to debate this because Ben Roethlisberger, yeah, he's about 37 years old. Yeah, he's getting older, but he's not a game manager. The guy can ball. The guy can throw the football, right? He might not be able to brush off defenders like how he used to. He might not be able to do all of that like how he used to because he's getting older. That's what happens when you get older. We have never put Ben Roethlisberger in, the top quarterback conversation, with Tom Brady and those guys. And it's because, he wasn't on the level. He didn't win as much as those guys. But in terms of, throwing the football and quarterback talent, he was really good. And he still is. This is a guy that's thrown over 6,000 yards, 6,000, 7,000 yards at one point, right? The guy can ball. Like, there's the disrespect on, Ben Roethlisberger is insane. And, I'm, as a Steelers fan, especially as a guy that's, really supports Ben Roethlisberger and his decision because this is a guy that's helped this organization time in, time out, through thick and thin, all of that stuff. He's helped this franchise, and it's completely disrespectful to even talk about him being a game manager because, in my opinion, he is not whatsoever. He's not a game manager, and it's as simple as that. Should Desean Watson speak out or stay quiet? And now this is the last question, unless I get some questions in the chat. But should Desean Watson speak out or stay quiet? Now, let's look at this real quick. Desean Watson, I mentioned how badly he's getting treated earlier today. Earlier in the show, I mentioned that. And I still am under that mindset. He is getting treated badly. We all know he is. But there is times where, you can't just stay quiet. You can't just stay quiet in Desean Watson's case because obviously the reason he wants to leave is much more than football. That's obviously the reason he wants to leave. It's much more than football. And at some point, if the I was about to almost say the Houston Rockets, if the Houston Texans are still not budging, if they're still not even making an attempt, you got to come out and say in front of the cameras what it is, because obviously it's more than football. We just don't know what. We don't know what's going on behind closed doors and all of that stuff, right? So it's something more than football, and at some point, Desean Watson is going to have to speak out, and I think he will. Desean Watson is an awfully quiet guy. You think of, J.J. Watt apologizing to Desean Watson going into the locker room, saying, "Oh man, we did bad this season. We should be in the playoffs right now." And you think of them trading away DeAndre Hopkins without letting Desean Watson know. You think of the GM hiring without letting him know. Right? You think of all of this stuff. They've been treating him terribly, and as quarterback of his caliber, he should not be getting treated that terribly. So, I think he should speak out. That's my final answer. I think he should speak out, and because like I said, it's much more than football. That's what's going on here, and you got to look at that, and you got to look at how he's getting treated and all of that stuff. So yes, I think he should speak out. I think he should let us know what is going on. So that will motivate the Houston Texans to move Desean Watson, because I really think they should. If they really care about Desean Watson, they should move him out of Houston, because that is what's going to make Desean Watson happy. And I think he should go to Miami too, by the way. But yeah, unless I get any more questions in the chat, that should wrap it up. Thank you guys for the questions, though, that you did leave me in the chat. It was a short show today, only 20 minutes, but I didn't have a lot of questions today, and some of you guys added more questions, so that is good. Thankfully, I didn't forget about Fan Friday this week. I did last week. But yeah, if you guys haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel already, it's on my link in bio for my Instagram guys, and for my Facebook guys, it's on my feed. Turn post notifications on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook, so you know when I post on all platforms. And I am going to be here. I'm going to be back here Monday, 4 p.m. Eastern. I got a busy weekend to cover. I got SmackDown tonight. I got UFC. I got the All-Star game. And then I got AEW on Sunday. So, I got a lot of stuff to cover on. But I'm doing it all for you guys. So, yeah, I'll be back here Monday, with a lot of stuff. A lot of notes and my documents. So, yeah, I'll see you guys here Monday, 4 p.m. Eastern. Take it easy, y'all. Stay safe. I'm out.